Alrighty, so it's been a while since I've updated my tier list, and there's a couple of things that I do want to tweak, but overall, I think it's been since the Mael festival, so we've got quite a few units down here that we actually need to add to the list. But first and foremost, let's do a couple of tweaks just before we hop into adding new characters to the list. If you're new to the channel or anything, feel free to subscribe. We're on the way to 10k or 15k. Would be super cool if you stuck around. But either way, let's look here first. I think one thing that I really want to change about S tier is that I think with Diane's Holy Relic coming out, I genuinely get a lot of use out of her. I do really think that it helped her out a lot, even if it's something simple like just doing or having your allies do more damage. I just think it's been super helpful overall. I'm getting more use out of her for Nidhogg. I'm getting way more use out of her for PvP. Just in general, very good unit, I would say. Like, I don't know, just overall, I really like her so far with the new Holy Relic. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. In A tier, I'm going to move Zeldris up because I genuinely think now that Ban is out, he is sort of bouncing back as like one of the more default sort of backliners that you think of whenever it comes to like running him in PvP. Just because Ban puts on a lot of debuffs, he can be ran with other characters that put on debuffs, such as like, I mean, you could put a Sariel link on somebody if you really wanted to. But overall, I would say he has just really been great, like skyrocketed, I would say, in value if you're running the human team with Bond and everything, so that's great. I personally don't get basically any use out of the Lolly Merlin, so I'm going to push her down one tier to A tier, because personally, I only ever use her for Grey Demon. There are a couple of scenarios that I hear of from time to time where people will run like a recovery rate set on her or something like that and just scumball their way through PvP in like top 100. I don't ever really see that kind of thing because I don't play top 100, and I understand that it is definitely something that people do, but I don't think it's like super common, and it's really only when the Sweat Lords are out for top 100, so I just don't really see her being S tier anymore. I'm going to move Kizuna up one just because every time I use Kizuna, it is just so good. Like, it just really is that much better by having her on the team for anything PvE related, so I just genuinely think that she deserves to have that spot. So I'm going to push her up to S tier just because she's really that good. Other than that, I don't think there was anything else too crazy that I wanted to mess with. I'm actually going to take Lostvayne off the list because we are going to be replacing him with the LR version of Lostvayne. Because realistically, I don't necessarily think there's a reason for you to have Lostvayne on the list without going for his LR, so that is just fair. I do also want to push up this Jelly King maybe by one tier, because after using him with Ban, I think I've finally understood that he actually is a decent unit. When he very first came out, I just wasn't really impressed by him, and I mean, I still wouldn't really go out of my way necessarily to use him, but I think with him being as new as he is, he was a Valentine's Day unit this year, I would say that he overall is actually not as bad as I maybe thought he was initially, so I'm going to put him there. I don't think that there was anybody else that I wanted to mess with, so let's start with the characters that need to be added. So first and foremost, we have the new awakened Roxy, who I think honestly is just really good overall. I think she helps a ton, so remember that we don't have this in any sort of particular order. Oh, let me actually push Freyr down one as well. I'm going to push Freyr down to A tier just because he's not really good at all in PvP scenarios. The only time that I'm really using him is for like demonic beast battles, mainly the dogs. You can use him in Nidhogg as well. And I mean, if you have high ult dupes or whatever, you can obviously use him in any of the demonic beasts. But overall, I don't know, I don't think that he's necessarily as broad, so I have all of the other demonic beast units in this A tier because they can't be used in any other game modes, but I don't know, I think Freyr maybe needs to be bumped down a notch. He is still insanely good, don't get me wrong, but I just don't necessarily think he's quite S tier. Maybe once he gets his Holy Relic, if they announce that anytime soon, I'll be more inclined to push him back up. But Roxy, insane. Fantastic unit. I've gotten a lot more use out of her lately with Ban, and it's just so much fun to use her. I genuinely like the unit, S tier, makes farming, you know, demonic beasts and stuff like that a bit faster because of the damage caps and stuff. So that's great. Red Goddess Liz is very mid, I would say, because she really only works in PvE scenarios. I'm going to throw her up here in B tier because she is good. She's basically just a budget Kizuna, but Kizuna was free. Unfortunately, she's extremely exclusive, so I understand that's kind of the appeal to this Liz. But overall, I don't know that I would necessarily go out of my way to get a copy of her, just because she doesn't necessarily work the exact same, and I don't know. She just I've literally, the only time I've used her is the Labyrinth just came out. Season 5 Labyrinth came out as the time of me recording this. It was nice to use her in that, but you don't even have to own her to use her in Labyrinth. So, yeah, not great. Next up, we have the Mushoku Tensei collab. I actually planned on updating the tier list during the Mushoku Tensei collab, but overall, just ended up kind of waiting for it. I would say Rudeus is S tier. He definitely takes some powering up. I think that's probably going to rub some people the wrong way. I could definitely see him being high A tier as well, but he does genuinely do a lot of damage. He has an infect, which is just fantastic. Using him in PvE scenarios is really easy because like you can use him for like fast farming teams and stuff like that on a lot of the event bosses and everything. I don't know. I'm kind of talking myself out of it. I'm pushing him down to top of A tier. I just genuinely think that I'm going to put him behind the festival characters so I know where they're at. But, yeah, I don't know. Maybe A tier is where he deserves to be. Because, honestly, PvP-wise, you're probably not going to get the most use out of him. He is kind of fun, and you can use him in PvP for sure. But I don't really use him a lot myself, and I don't feel inclined to in a lot of scenarios. So maybe A tier is kind of where he deserves to be. Eris, on the other hand, is very unfortunate. I'm not even going to put her one tier below Rudeus. Well, should I? Yeah, I think B tier is actually fine because genuinely she does deal a lot of damage. She is good on her own, but obviously you do need Rudeus to sort of boost her up for efficiency, and I don't know. She's okay. She's not bad at all by any stretch of the imagination, but because she's so reliant on having Rudeus on the team and she's PvE only, that does kind of hinder her quite a bit. So I'm completely fine with B tier. I could see some people maybe even putting her C tier, but I do think that she's actually got some good damage. So we'll leave her in B for now. Maybe going to revisit that in the future, of course. This Roxy, I actually think that she fell out pretty hard in the meta. I think that she is still a fun and interesting unit, and I really want to put her in A tier, but I think when it comes to Unknown Team for PvP, she's just not really as good, maybe. Like, she's more of a defensive kind of unit. A lot of the times it's really easy to sort of kill a unit off turn 1 with most of the meta teams at the moment. So I'm genuinely like pretty happy with putting her in just B tier. I think that she's a decent option. If you want to run her on the Unknown Team, you definitely can, but I'm going to put her in A tier. I think A tier is fine because genuinely, moving down here to the other one, which is Ghislaine, I think that she deserves S tier. She is by far, I would say, the best unit out of the whole collab. Does phenomenal damage. Really, really great. I think she's like a staple on the Unknown Team at this point. I think that she's just so good. So if these two are still like runnable and fun to use in PvP, I would say A tier is fine, but Ghislaine definitely is like a step above those, and you can even use her in Belmoth if you want to, which don't know if I would necessarily recommend that, but I do have a friend who uses her on the Belmoth team pretty much every time we play, and I mean, she just does great damage. She's just overall very nice unit. So SSS, just regular S tier for her, I think, personally. Blue Camila, D tier. I don't have anything else to say. She is guild boss only, which is very unfortunate. I don't even know where Blue Elat is on my tier list at this point because I don't even know. She's actually C tier. I guess we could put her in C tier with this, but genuinely, I don't really ever get any use out of her. I'll go C tier just to give her the benefit of the doubt. She does have a banger outfit. Fantastic, honestly. Finally, we got a new Camila, but man, was it disappointing to see that she was literally just a guild boss only unit, so that really sucks. Next up, we have Mave. Zena, actually. Her name is Zena. She's from the band Mave. K-pop unit made it into the game, which is kind of bizarre to me. I'm going to put her in B tier. She does not have any costumes, which definitely hurts her a lot in PvP scenarios, but she is basically just an ult rush unit. You use her blue card, her buff card, and it gives you ultimate move gauge, which is fine. She has an ultimate removal card, which is okay, and then she has the same ult as Elat, where you just gain defense-related stats and debuff immunity. So, not really the greatest unit. I would say that when I used her, I genuinely did have fun with her, but you're basically only going to be using her on an unknown team, and even then, that might be too high. I'm kind of tempted to put her in C tier, actually, because I mean, I'm going to put her C tier. She literally doesn't have any options as far as outfits goes. So that definitely brings her down quite a bit. Because if you're just going to ult rush, there's probably other options that you'd rather use instead. But yeah, I mean, she's just not going to, she's literally not going to have a whole lot of uses. Like, just in general. Use case wise, there's not a whole lot. C tier, I think, is fine. Yeah, I don't know. You can debate me on that one. I'm not too picky on this one. You could probably convince me to go either way with that. Transcendent Ban, on the other hand, I think that he's SS tier. I do. I'm gonna put him in S tier. I'm gonna debate with myself for a minute here. Pre-buff, he was definitely pretty like mid, I would say, like comparatively to other festival characters, but I really like using him now. I think that he's really good. I would say, I'm gonna put him in SS tier. I really like him now that he's been buffed. I think he has a lot of damage potential. That's probably going to rub some people the wrong way. But I personally, this is my tier list, I personally really enjoy using the unit. I think he has a lot of different like team synergies that you can sort of build with him. I've talked myself out of it. He is pretty bad for PvE scenarios, I would say. A lot of like high tier PvP or PvE, sorry, has debuff immunity, so you're not even going to be able to really reliably use his passive to the fullest potential. Plus, if they have full debuff immunity, you can't mark the target, which means you can't guarantee crits, which makes him pretty bad for PvE, which kind of sucks overall. I don't know. The more I look at it, the fact that he's like the newest festival and he's an S tier makes me think that I need to push Deanne back down, but I genuinely do get a lot of use out of this Deanne now that she's gotten her Holy Relic. So I'm going to keep her there. You can debate me on that one if she deserves to be back down to S tier, but I think I'm okay with Bond being S. I think that he's more or less kind of a supporty kind of character. You're not necessarily going to rely on him to carry the entire team because that's going to take way too much RNG on card pulls to even pull off. So I think S tier's pretty good overall. Let me know on that one in the comments because I'm sure people are going to have opinions on that. New green Excalibur Arthur. I actually really like this unit. I think that he's actually really good. I genuinely think that he deserves to be where Red Excalibur Arthur is. They obviously have two different sort of use cases, kind of. Like, I mean, they're both for, like, human teams, but this Arthur actually isn't as restrictive as the Red Arthur is. Red Arthur, you have to have only humans on the field, whereas this one, you gain percentages depending on how many humans are on the field, so that's actually a little bit of a step above, in my opinion. His stance is good because it gains debuff immunity, which I think is really, really nice. It does not lower ultimate move gauge like the other Arthur does, which I do like about this stance, but I guess they just have their own sort of use cases. I genuinely think they're like neck and neck with each other. I think they're pretty much on par with each other there. I forgot that A.M. Melly is a festival unit, so I'm going to push him up to the festival area. But yeah, I think those two deserve to be like right beside each other, genuinely. Tristan, on the other hand, is a very interesting character. There's room to grow on with this one. I'm going to put him in B tier for now because he does make a difference, but he's still missing his costumes. We should actually see Those costumes get added to the game with the next JP update as of the time of me recording this, so we'll see how that goes. I'm not sure if that's going to make the difference or not. Obviously, probably not, but it will give him some more CC, so you can potentially go first while your goddess team is up, so that way you can be tanky and survive and go first and do damage and all of that good stuff. But as he is right now, I think he's okay, but not groundbreaking, so I would say B tier is fine. I could even see maybe C tier, because I know a lot of people are... I'm assuming a lot of people skip this character because he's not that great, and at the end of the day, he is a seasonal character if I'm not mistaken, so he's a little bit exclusive, which is unfortunate. It's really dumb that they're releasing this character and then not putting his outfits out in time for his banner to still be around, so that's really dumb. I don't know if they're planning on extending his banner at all, but that would be really nice, considering that he's not even able to be played at full potential. Last but not least, we have Red Lostvayne Meliodas, who I genuinely think is a fantastic unit. I've seen a little bit of debate on whether or not Purgatory Melee is still better. I do think that overall, Purgatory Melee still has the craziest passive in the entire game. I think that he's just got way too much going for him. He has a built-in cleanse that you have to play around. You can't stall with units or else you get dissolved. He's just got a really, really good kit, and he's got a lot going for him. That being said, I think that LR Melee is a really close second. I think that he has his own use cases. He's got a completely different set of skills, obviously, and you can run him on a bit more of a variety of teams, whereas you can obviously use Purgatory Melee in any team, but I would say the way that the game is sort of set up, demons are where he really shines, whereas with LR Melee, Red Lostvayne, you can kind of throw him in anything and he'll still work the same as he would have beforehand. Like, obviously, you could run him on the demon team and get stats for him, but I think he's just as good on that team as he is on, like, the Bond, Deanne, Lostvayne team that is going around right now. Just one is way more aggressive, one is way more defensive. It just depends on how you want to play the character, of course. They both have their own strong suits. So I definitely think that he's above these three characters for sure. He just does insane damage. He has the highest CC in the game right now by quite a large margin, and just genuinely is very good. His whole kit got overhauled, if you're unaware, and just is very, very strong. So I guess it's kind of weird that I now have a character who is not in the tier list, but I guess it is how it is. So let me know, I guess, how you are feeling about this, because there were a couple of changes, and I think a couple of these may be a little controversial in which tier that I decided to place them in. But remember that if they're in S tier at all, I don't necessarily think that one character is better than the other, just based off of like their positioning. Like, obviously some of these characters are probably more useful than other characters, but I genuinely think that this is pretty good where it's at. I did have a comment in the last video saying that it was crazy that Rom, I guess, I'm assuming is the one that they were talking about, is in a completely separate tier than Rimuru, considering Rimuru is kind of an optional unit on the Unknown team, whereas Rom is like an essential part of like the stats and everything for the Unknown team, but she's way more supporty. This guy's got absolutely insane potential for his ultimate, and he's got an infect, which is super nice. He's got a pierce card that does crazy damage. I just don't think they're even on the same league. So yeah, I don't know. If you see anybody that you think is just absolutely 100% out of place, definitely let me know. I will take it into consideration. Do remember that this is my own personal tier list, so some of these characters I get more use out of than other people, or vice versa. So yeah, take some of it with a grain of salt. That's pretty much where I'm sitting. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one.